So I've come up today for an appointment on this wonderfully refurbished old farmhouse called Tico, which is located approximately 10 minutes outside of the very pretty little hilltop town of Oria, O-R-I-A, in Almeria. And I thought I'd grasp the opportunity to do a little film as well at the same time, to maybe give an indication of what a lifestyle in this sort of community is like. As you can see, I'm panning out here. This is just a tapestry of almonds, and when they're in blossom, you can imagine the hilltops are just a beautiful, vivid colour carpet. But we're now about 650, I'd say, metres above sea level, so temperature-wise, that makes a 2 or 3 degree difference from where I'm located, which in the winter months can be a little bit of a difference and a little bit bracing, but maybe there's a big benefit in the summer. The little town of Oria has, you know, amenities, a couple of convenience stores, some fantastic bars and restaurants and stuff, but it's not the kind of place you want to settle if you want to be on the doorstep of lots of shops and bars and cafes and stuff like that. And what we'll do is I shall drive round to various little hamlets and stuff on the way back to Albox and just give you an indication of what it's like getting to this sort of property and what it's like living in the location. So just left that wonderful property and now driving back, passing by Oria, if you like, and then towards the town of Albox. So as I said, I thought I'd give you the opportunity. You can see here, I mean, I'm surrounded by the most amazing countryside, but you can get a vision here of what the access is like to that particular property. But this is also very similar to a lot of the properties in this beautiful setting. So I think the compromise, you know, if you'll certainly find a property in this location, a refurbished farmhouse, if you like, or sometimes ones that need reform, and the prices will be significantly cheaper than if you're buying, you know, in just outside the centre of a large town where you've got public transport and shops and supermarkets. So therein lies the rub, is that you'll get a far cheaper price, but you know, access won't be by perfectly smooth tarmac road in most cases. Something like this, once you get used to it, I mean, it's not really that bad, but it's kind of a bit of a culture shock for a lot of people when they see these beautiful old farmhouses and think they're going to glide up to the door on wonderful tarmac. So I've come approximately, I'd say, 1.2 kilometres along that compacted dirt track, and now I've hit the first bit of tarmac. So going, if I turned left at that junction, it would have taken me in less than 10 minutes into the little town of Oria. You know, wonderful, pretty little town, but a couple of convenience stores, few nice cafes and bars. Again, not the kind of place you should consider moving to or living if you want lots of facilities and amenities on your doorstep. But in saying that, I mean, the time's now 1:15 in the afternoon, and I'm going to drive now in the direction of Albox, and we'll see how long it takes. I can't imagine it'd be probably around 15 minutes, I'd say. So, you know, and Albox is a very large market town with supermarkets, big medical centre and everything. So you're not too far off the beaten track, and lots of people coming over from the UK or Belgium, etc., will often drive far further than that from, you know, the villages that they live in at home to get to the facilities. I mean, the vista, as you can see, it's a bit unfortunate because yesterday gorgeous sunshine, but today, as you can see, it's a little bit grey and a bit overcast. But hopefully you can get some idea of it's beautifully peaceful, but you just get this wonderful feeling of clear air and openness. So I'm now driving through a little village which is literally on the main Rambla de Oria. It's a little bit confusing because this is a very pretty but very small little village, and the whole area collectively here is known as the Rambla de Oria. Essentially, the Rambla is a large dried up riverbed, often used as kind of a walking track or even a road for cars, that connects, in this case, between the town of Oria all the way down to Albox town. Part of it's actually used in Albox as the market car park on market days down there. So you can see I'm still on the tarmac, but we've literally driven into the little town of Rambla, or village of Rambla de Oria, and now I'm just literally gone right past the last house, and I'm coming to the main Rambla. This is, you know, if you live here, you'll know it, but obviously if you're looking at this from back in the UK, you'd be gobsmacked. There's actually little bars. There's a famous one called Donkey Dave's with access tracks off of these Ramblers, because the law used to be that there was no law or regulation. So if you had a one too many and drove home via the Rambler, then there was no problems at all. Not the case these days. I wouldn't advise it in any way, shape or form, but you can see this is the main Rambler, a very wide road. There's even school buses that run along this in the mornings. And whilst it's a stunningly beautiful area, as I said earlier, the compromise is lots of the houses here, they certainly just have not got, they may be very well priced and everything, and certainly great buys and values for money, but what they haven't got is wonderfully smooth tarmac access. But I'm not driving in a big 4x4 today, I'm just in a very little tiny hatchback, which I picked deliberately just to kind of illustrate it is doable. But if you live along here, give up the dream of a lovely clean car, and it might be well to drive slowly, because I could imagine this isn't particularly good on the suspension. I'm not sure how long I have to drive along here before I hit tarmac, but it shouldn't be too long, so I'm not gonna keep you sitting here watching this, just me driving along dirt tracks, but hopefully it gives you some kind of impression of, you know, what awaits when you see these properties. But it's a very popular location, I have to say. You know, it's where you will find an abundance of old farmhouses that have been reformed. You don't find these near the centres of the big towns. Essentially, they are old farmhouses. How many towns in the UK have got beautiful old farmhouses slap bang in the middle of them? It just doesn't happen. So if you're going down a character route, or you want a full-time home or a holiday home that would be a character property as opposed to an all singing, all dancing, modern contemporary villa, then you can't find a much more beautiful spot. So I've just pulled up and got out of the car quickly just to show you something quite amusing and unusual. But you can see all these post boxes here. This is because a lot of the houses are very difficult to access, so the posties will deliver, but they'll only deliver to the main Rambler. So you've got lots of collective post boxes for the houses dotted around here. But this is what I actually stopped to see. This is one of the fuentes, the spring water. Fuente is essentially a spring, but the water quality is legendary around here. It's absolutely beautiful. But this is still used, and look, it's a laundry, and there's a couple of these along the Rambler, and you know, at certain times of the year or day, you'll often find 3 or 4 Spanish ladies out here having a good old chat and doing the laundry. Not something you see every day. Back to the car. So I've effectively driven along the Rambler, or the dirt track, for probably 2 kilometres from when I turned off the tarmac, and I've now reached a kind of important junction. I'm going to turn right, and this is then, you know, you can see the condition here. This is tarmac now all the way down to the town of Albox. But this junction, if you're there's little hamlets like Arroyo Medina, and again this continues round, and you can go back in a loop if you like to Oria. Passing, you know, there's some absolutely beautiful, often palatial old Corticos farmhouses that have been reformed. I've seen ones there with kind of cinema rooms, but then they also go to the real, you know, 2 up, 2 down, very tiny, ramshackle, that need a total reform. But there are some absolutely stunning houses, and let's face it, sometimes there's big advantages to being off the radar, which you certainly get the feeling there. You know, you've gone back to a time forgotten, but that can be quite a pleasant thing sometimes, I think. But as you can see now, absolutely pristine tarmac. And I'm going to follow this down. I think it's about 6 kilometres now, 7, until we get literally into the centre of Albox town. So drive time from when we started, as I say, I think probably around 15 minutes maximum. I mean, if you ripped it up, you could probably do it in 12, but I don't think I kind of want to risk flying along this sort of road. You over there, sorry, there's probably a great big gust of wind now coming through. I've got the window wide open, but I know there's lots of these wonderful polished videos and stuff online, but they don't ever really show you it as the real picture. So hopefully, if nothing else, whether you're considering coming over to live or to move over and buy a holiday home or something, at least maybe these give you a little bit of a real insight as to what we've got on our doorstep. I think having been here for, you know, over 20 years now, you still never cease to be amazed by just the feeling of openness and the scale of everything. Now I've just paused for a second here because I don't know if you can see, but I came to a complete stop because there's a beautiful eagle soaring over there in the distance. So I'm about 5 minutes into my trip on the tarmac, and coming down, as I said, I think we'll comfortably, from where we started, do Albox in 15 minutes. But I've just started filming again now because over there, sitting below us, you can see Albox from above, and I don't think there's many films or footage available on the internet that kind of give you a look at Albox from this perspective. Keep the camera rolling for you now, and the lovely run down into the town, and this road literally goes straight into the centre. But I'm effectively all the time running parallel with the Rambla, which you can see down below me there, hopefully. And I could have equally driven along there all the way into the town centre, but this is obviously a lot smoother run now. I think this illustrates, once you come inland from the coast as far as Albox and then carry on, you know, to Cantoria, Pachena and places like this, everything's a lot more spaced out. I mean, there are still a good concentration of lovely villas and stuff, but they tend to be in what you would define as non-estate locations on a lot larger plots. So yes, whilst you may not have the easy access to lots of amenities, you do have normally far bigger gardens and that sort of stuff. But there you go, you can see I'm gliding now, and there's Albox in the distance. So just coming past now a little hamlet called San Roque, which is literally just outside of Albox now, town centre. It's quite a unique location, this. You can't see it very well, I suppose, but either side of the Rambla you've got some huge country homes, and I would say 99% of these are Spanish owned by second, third generation Spanish who've all been born and grown up in Albox. These are in the main second homes, and I know that sounds a little bit bonkers, but you've got a lot of families that have a flat in the centre of Albox where you can work from, come out, go to the shops, walk to everything. But they also like bigger living spaces and large gardens. Well, they literally come 3 minutes to 4 minutes outside of the centre of town. I mean, I don't know if you can get an idea of the, you know, that's someone's garage and store shed over there, and then there's the main house or something here. Beautiful walled gardens, probably a swimming pool behind there, but it's all very discreet and very private. But it would be no surprise at all if this guy's got a large flat in the centre of town. Why do they come so close? Because essentially there isn't the space within any of the Spanish towns in the centres to have such large gardens and such large houses. It's predominantly flats and smaller 3 or 4 story townhouses and stuff like that. But one thing they tend not to have is any sort of outside space or gardens. And as I'm coming along here, you can see over to the left hand side, and if you're over on that side of the Rambla, you look back in this way and you see all these great big wonderful country homes. And as I say, mainly these are probably second homes. Running on time schedule now, but then there you go, there's a good bit of Spanish parking. I just saw some friends. I think I'll just pull in and have a chat. Never ceases to amaze me. I suppose this goes on in the UK as well, but there we are. At least it wasn't a combine harvest. Who are. Now, some of you would have watched the walk around I did in Albox. Well, quite a few of you did. And I started literally as we're coming up here in one of the main squares at the Oria Hotel. So now well, it's taken 16, 17 minutes, but I think that's because I stopped to film an eagle and to show you the Fuente. But this is the main car park on the right here for the town on market days. And I'm just going to be pulling into one of the main squares in a second on my way back home. So putting into the main square now, one of the main squares, the Oria. It's nice to see today. You've got the big pedestrian plaza there. Look, some life as the kids are just kicking out of school. What is nice today is all the fountains are going. And I'll just drive quickly through the town. I'm not going to do too much time and detail on this one because we've done lots of more in-depth walk-arounds which you can watch on our channel. So quite unusual films, I appreciate, and I hope that they're appreciated by you guys. So I'm kind of driving now right through the dead centre of Albox. I've come by the donkey statue that you may have seen in the last walk around we did. And what I'm going to do now is just drive through the centre of town, and I'm going to go up to I've just decided before I head off home I'm going to go and see some friends who've moved up to a little area called Almeria, which doesn't actually come under Albox, it comes under Almeria. One thing you might detect as I'm driving through here is, yes, like the UK, parking is a real issue in Spanish towns. Most of the Spanish families are 2 or 3 car owners, and there just simply isn't the parking spaces available on the streets in any of the towns. So lots of double parking. Just going to cross over here. The big central crossroads in Albox, which anyone who lives here will know, connects the kind of Mercadona and the big supermarkets. And so we're now leaving Albox town centre. And if I stay straight on this road now, which I'm going to do, I pass in a minute a little wonderful English shop called the Corner Shop, where they do fantastic English products, but lots of wonderful cleaning products that you just simply can't get in the Spanish supermarkets. And then the Taj Indian restaurant, absolutely wonderful food in there, just on my right. So I'm going to end this little film now, but listen, if you've enjoyed, I know our films and our vlogs or videos are fairly unusual and a bit unorthodox, but hopefully they give you a real insight into life here and what we've got on our doorsteps. And if you do like, then please do leave us a like or a comment, much appreciated, and better still if you can, subscribe. Hasta pronto.